Just 2.5 hours from the first polls closing. They'll close in 6 states, including battleground Georgia at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back to our special election night. America Decides coverage live from New York City. I'm Vladimir Duthier.
And I'm Lindsay Reiser. This campaign cycle has changed a lot in a very short amount of time. We have seen multiple historic moments in just a matter of months. On June 27th, there was the debate between former President Trump and President Biden, which, of course, led to calls from multiple Democrats for Biden to step aside from the ticket.
Then, former President Trump survived an assassination attempt during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, just before the Republican National Convention, where he officially clinched his party's nomination for president. Then, on July 21st, President Biden officially ended his re-election bid and handed his endorsement to Vice President Kamala Harris. She held her first campaign event just 2 days later.
It has all led to this moment. Both campaigns' paths to 270 electoral votes to win the White House goes through the 7 battleground states we have been talking about all year. 4 of them are located in the so-called Sun Belt, 2 in the east and 2 in the west. One of those states, of course, is Nevada, and that's where we find our Lilia Luciano. Lilia.
Hey there, Lindsay, Vlad. We are in Las Vegas. This is a city where we've heard from voters on both sides, where 100,000 or more voters have voted today on Election Day in person. But that's just a fraction of the nearly 1.1 million voters who either cast their ballots by mail or in person early. The breakdown in terms of voters and how they were registered, there were about 43,000 more registered Republicans who voted this time around early. But here's the thing about the state. The largest sector or section of the electorate is people who are either nonpartisan, independent, or people who sign off on any other category, but whose affiliation we don't know. Both sides are trying to get their vote, and part of what we're hearing is it's all about the economy. For more on another battleground state, I'm going to go to my colleague Kris Van Cleave, who's in Phoenix, Arizona. Kris.
Lilia, thanks. Arizona's 11 electoral votes up for grabs. The polls open until 7 p.m. local time. And much like Nevada, the bulk of the voting here happens early or by mail. Here in Maricopa County, home to about 60% of the voters. It's the nation's 4th largest county. More than 1.5 million early votes are already been received. We know in this county alone, about another 154,000 people as of 2:30 local time have shown up to vote in person. Voting, of course, those numbers will be bigger statewide as we move towards 7 p.m. when the polls close. Key issues here: the border, immigration, the economy, as well as reproductive rights. Abortion is on the ballot here in Arizona. The other concern we heard a lot from Harris supporters: protecting democracy. We're going to check in now with my colleague Skyler Henry, who is in Raleigh, North Carolina, another key swing state. Raleigh.
Elections officials say for the most part, the more than 2,600 polling places throughout the state have been running smoothly. There is one hiccup, forcing officials to have to hold a meeting to determine whether there should be an extension in nearby Wilson County. That's about 55 miles east of where we are here in Raleigh. There was a printing issue there. They say that because of that, that could lead to a bit of a delay in terms of when we receive the ballot count from that county. But as for the rest of the state, groundbreaking and historic record-breaking numbers. We're talking about 4.5 million voters that submitted their ballots early. They anticipate some 1 million voters to do the same here on Election Day. Now over to my colleague Mark Strassmann reporting in Atlanta.
Thanks, Skyler. So far, so good here in Georgia. This is the Fulton County Elections Hub and Operations Center. Fulton County is the biggest puzzle piece on the Georgia map. About 750,000 active voters here, the most populous county in Georgia. And those 750,000 are about 1 in 10 Georgia voters. There were some disruptions today, bomb threats and scares in at least a handful of precincts here. No bombs, but 2 precincts had to close for at least a half hour, and they may extend the hours of voting by that same half hour. A judge has to rule on that. In total, statewide, 4 million Georgians voted early. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is expecting another 1 million to vote today. So that's 5 million votes that need to be counted in an election that officials have promised will be fast, fair, accurate, and transparent. Lindsay and Vlad?
All right, Mark Strassmann in Atlanta for us, where they tend to report right after the polls close, so we'll be watching.